Hello viewers, welcome to STQMEDIAAfrica News. My name is Jessica Ndlovu. We start off our bulletin today by introducing you to Bitcoin and everything around it. I know that you guys might have had questions about Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency. Today we'll be breaking it down.
The world is in financial disarray. Currencies failing, economies in wild flux, jobs being lost. But what if you could build an entirely new economy, one specifically designed for the digital realm? Well, that is the dream behind Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is a form of digital currency created and held electronically. No one controls it. Bitcoins aren't printed like rands, dollars, or euros. They're produced by people and increasingly businesses, running computers all around the world using software that solves mathematical problems. It's the first example of the category of digital currencies, called the cryptocurrency.
Bitcoin is fundamentally different because in Bitcoin, you don't owe anyone anything and no one owes you anything. It is not a system based on that. It is a system based on ownership. And no one can censor it, no one can seize it, no one can freeze it.
Now let's look at what makes it different. Is it that it is decentralized? No single institution controls the Bitcoin network. This puts some people at ease because it means that a large bank cannot control their money.
It's November the 2nd, 2008, just 6 weeks after the Lehman Brothers collapse. And all over the world, there are panicked debates about how to save the banks. Then, on a little visited web forum for cryptographers, a document appears in which a completely new monetary system is proposed. The visionary author calls himself Satoshi Nakamoto.
Who created it? A software developer called Satoshi Nakamoto proposed Bitcoin, which was an electronic payment system based on mathematical proof. The idea was to produce a currency independent of any central authority, transferable electronically, more or less instantly, with very, very low transaction fees. Who prints it? No one. This currency isn't physically printed in the shadows by a central bank, unaccountable to the population, and making its own rules. Those banks can simply produce more money to cover the national debt, thus devaluing the currency. Instead, Bitcoin is created digitally by a community of people that anyone can join. Bitcoins are mined using computing power in a distributed network.
Back in the early days, I'd get phone calls from my buddies. Oh, hey man, I lost 10,000 Bitcoins because my computer blew up, right? Back then, one Bitcoin was less than a penny, right? So nobody cared. They lost $10. I don't care, right? And now 10,000 Bitcoins, that's $5 million. That's a big deal.
This network also processes transactions made with the virtual currency, effectively making Bitcoin its own payment network. So you can't churn out unlimited Bitcoins. That's right. The Bitcoin protocol, the rules that make the Bitcoin work, say that only 21 million Bitcoins can ever be created by miners. However, these coins can be divided into smaller parts. The smallest divisible amount is 100 million of a Bitcoin and is called the Satoshi, after the founder of the Bitcoin network.
Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place. And of course, for large transactions, currency can get pretty inconvenient.
What is Bitcoin based on? Conventional currency has been based on gold or silver. Theoretically, you knew that if you handed over $1 at a bank, you could get some gold back. But Bitcoin isn't based on gold. It is based on mathematics.
You think this is a currency that's really going to work eventually?
Well, I think it is working, and there will be other currencies like it that may be even better. But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin.
Around the world, people are using software programs that follow mathematical formula to produce Bitcoins. The mathematical formula is freely available so that anyone can check it. The software is also an open source, meaning that anyone can look and make sure that it does what it is supposed to do. What are its characteristics? Bitcoin has several important features that set it apart from government-backed currencies. Number one, it is decentralized. The Bitcoin network isn't controlled by one central authority. Every machine that mines Bitcoin and processes transactions makes up part of the network, and the machines work together. That means that in theory, one central authority cannot tinker the monetary policy and cause a meltdown, or simply decide to take people's Bitcoins away from them, as the Central European Bank decided to do in Cyprus in early 2013. And if some part of the network goes offline for some reason, the money keeps flowing and growing. Number 2, it's easy to set up. Unlike conventional banks that make you jump through hoops simply to open a bank account, however, you can set up a Bitcoin address in seconds. No questions asked, and with no fees payable.
Blockchain is one of the leading wallet companies out there. So it's very simple to set up here. So we're just going to click on wallet. And then this is us, start a new wallet. And then you're going to enter in a password. Change that to test because I already have one with that email address. Now your password here has to be longer than 10 characters. And you got to type in this captcha code, make sure that you're human. Continue. And now this mnemonic device, I would suggest just throwing that in a notepad here. What that's used for is to help find your recover your password if you do forget it. Now this identifier is something you should also copy in your notepad here. So now we'll log into this shiny new account here. And here is the address. This is the Bitcoin address where I would give this out if I wanted someone to send me Bitcoin. I would pop up here to send money. If I wanted to send someone else, I would get their Bitcoin, use a QR code. I would get their Bitcoin address and then send. And this just converts it, you know. Nothing crazy fancy there. So that's really it. That's really all there is to getting started. This is the equivalent of opening up a bank account.
Number 3, it's anonymous. Well, kind of. Users can hold multiple Bitcoin addresses and they aren't linked to names, addresses, or other personally identifying information. However, it is completely transparent. Bitcoin stores details of every single transaction that ever happened in the network in a huge version of a general ledger called the blockchain. The blockchain tells all. If you have publicly used Bitcoin address, anyone can tell how many Bitcoins are stored at that address. They just don't know that it is yours. There are measures that people can take to make their activities more opaque on the Bitcoin network, such as not using the same Bitcoin address consistently and not transferring lots of Bitcoins to one single address. Transactions are minuscule. Your bank may charge you a fee of maybe $10 for an international transfer. Bitcoin doesn't charge you anything. Number 6, it is fast. You can send money anywhere and it will arrive within minutes as soon as the Bitcoin network processes the payments. Number 7, it is non-repudiable. When your Bitcoins are sent, there's no getting them back. Unless the recipient returns them to you, they're gone forever. So Bitcoin has a lot going for it, in theory, but how does it work in practice? Join us next week when we will have a Bitcoin expert and user in studio to help explain how Bitcoins are mined, what happens when a Bitcoin transaction occurs, and how the network keeps track of everything. Most especially, you'll be taken through the concept of what makes the Bitcoin bigger than gold. In our second segment, we shall share a story of the man who named Soweto and was regarded by Tata Madiba as a walking encyclopedia. We will carry his story for the rest of April in celebration of his 96th birthday, which is on Sunday, March the 26th, 2017.
Because my concept is, don't die now, also Patale Batu. Now free people what you owe them. History. I'll start with Soweto. That's what I want to start with. Now that you mentioned Mugabe, I get my but what one more thing. I'll tell you. Masad you are getting one yana one mortgage thing. Go 50 so far town. and yena mekgwa gage e mengata ke a yena o buang Mike Patlan go buisetsa bobe ka bobe mo makgweng. I without doubt and hesitation say I influenced him in that Evan Koza. How come you don't know your own name? Because the Mudulari, I am Ivan Koza, chairman of Orlando Bargate. That boy doesn't know his own name. Ivan Inale R. Evan.
Yes.
The third segment of our news will be used to introduce to you the future of African entertainment. Gents and ladies who are built to dominate the sector and take our arts and entertainment game to international heights and lead the decentralization of local media. Our first protagonist will be rapper Sbuda from Soweto, a born lyricist and showstopper. Jangalala, stand up.
I'm the type to break the rules, live your life to the fullest. YOLO, you only live once, don't be foolish. Africa, you are a beautiful world. You are a
Here are the main features in our main bulletin starting next week. Bitcoin roundups, expert input by Bitcoin and cryptocurrency fanatics, a standout citizen or breaking news from Africa, and the entertainment slot as highlighted earlier. Thank you for joining us on our pilot bulletin for STQMEDIAAfrica News. We leave you with visuals of the high school learners from the Johannesburg CBD school striking for the lowering of fees and the provision of ideas study materials such as iPads and textbooks. From me, your host Jessica Ndlovu, this is Adios.